thank you all for making the effort to be here and gather tonight. Tonight I wanted to share a little bit about the history of the Sport and Social Group, as well as share a little bit about the vision of where we're going, and hopefully get all of you as excited and passionate to keep chasing the vision we have of getting 1 million people playing as I am. So I want to tell you a little bit about the history. I grew up in the 70s in Sudbury, a small little town 4 hours north of here. And I was an active, sporty kid. I had 2 older brothers, and I did my best to chase them around. And I wanted to be so much like them, I even cut my hair short so I would look like them, which actually worked out to my advantage because I wanted to play soccer when I was about 6 or 7. And my mom looked for soccer leagues for me to play in. And the only soccer leagues she could find were all boys. There were no girls' leagues, there were no co-ed leagues, so she signed me up for the all-boys league, and she signed me up as Chris. My name's Kristi. It worked. I had a short haircut. Everyone thought I was a boy. And it wasn't until the very end of the season when we were going to the season banquet, and my mother, much to my horror, made me wear a dress. And that's when my whole team discovered that Chris, in fact, was Kristi and a girl. Luckily, they invited me back, so I guess I performed okay, and I played a second season as the only girl in an all-boys soccer league. So that was the beginning of my passion for sports. So fast forward 20-some, or whatever, 15 years, and I went off to university. I went to Queen's in Kingston, and go Gales, and then I moved to Toronto, the big smoke, after university. And I'm in Toronto, and I thought, I don't really know a lot of people here. I want to sign up and play some soccer. Not that I'd played a lot of soccer after the age of 8. I just thought, it would be fun to play soccer and meet people. So I started looking into trying to find some leagues, and the only leagues I could find were seriously competitive women's soccer leagues. And they were literally out of my league. So I was just like, okay, that's not happening. So after a few months of feeling like small town girl, living in a lonely world, couldn't resist, I figured, there were probably other young adults like myself having similar experiences. So the entrepreneur in me decided to find the opportunity in my problem. And thus, January of 1996, probably some of you weren't even born yet, I started the Toronto Sport and Social Club. So in 1996, you need to remember, the internet wasn't a thing. I got my first email address in the spring of 1996, but not many people had email addresses, so I didn't even know what to do with it. And there certainly weren't websites. So in order to start the Sport and Social Club, I picked up my address book. It was literally a book made of paper, and it had a bunch of people's names and phone numbers in it. That's what an address book was. And I went through my address book from A to Z, and I started calling people and telling them my idea. And I said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Do you like the idea? If you like the idea, can you tell me some names of friends that you have that might be interested? And if you really like my idea, can you fax me your address book? That's a fax machine. For those of you unaware of what a fax machine looks like, that's a fax machine. I had my friends faxing me their address books, and then I called all the people in their address books and who were complete strangers to me, and I'd tell them my idea, and I then had complete strangers faxing me their address books. This is how I built up, over 4 months, 800 names to start my database to advertise to. So keep in mind, I had quit my job about 5 or 6 months earlier, so I had no money. I was just scraping by on the little savings I had. And I wasn't yet generating any revenue with the leagues. I was still just trying to make people get awareness as to what I was trying to do. But I wanted to mail out a newsletter with a registration form. That's what that is. That's actually the very first newsletter. It hangs in our office today. I wanted to mail it out because it would give the people the opportunity to check off the box what they wanted to sign up for, and they would write a check and they would put it in the mail with a stamp and mail it back to me. This is what I wanted to do to get it going. Problem was, you remember I wasn't making any money yet, and I only had enough money to send out 400 newsletters. I could only afford 400 stamps. Luckily, my boyfriend at the time, Raul, was a semi-pro cyclist, and he agreed to deliver deliver the other 400 by bicycle. Yeah. True story. Ask him about the fact that there's a Spadina Road and a Spadina Avenue. There's different Spadinas. Yeah, found that out the hard way. So in these early days, I was literally doing everything on my own, and everything from lining up the facility permits to registering people to play in the leagues. I was out every night of the week as an event coordinator, as many of you know what that role is. You know, split up many fights, had to call games on time, drag people back to the sponsor bars, encouraging them to go back and be social. I did that for a long time, all on my own. And thankfully, Raul was around some of the time, and he wasn't afraid to roll up his sleeves and do whatever else needed to be done, including chopping vegetables, like in this picture, for the tournaments that we used to actually make all the food. We'd make the pasta salads, and we'd make the cookies and supply all the food for our members for our tournaments. This is the very early days. So that first season, the spring of 1996, we ended up having 52 teams signed up to play soccer, basketball, beach volleyball, ultimate, and flag football. And in those first few years, I was incredibly grateful to find a group of people who were willing to actually volunteer to help me as they shared my vision for building a community of people who wanted to play, connect, and have fun through sports. At this time, all of our part-time staff were volunteers, and they helped from everything from coordinating games right through to stuffing envelopes. This is a bunch of our event coordinators sitting in our living room, eating pizza, drinking beer, stuffing envelopes to mail out our newsletters. We did that every season for years. Volunteers and members alike shared my passion for play. Raul started working full-time with me in 1997, and thankfully he had the foresight to suggest that we ought to build a website. I didn't really understand what a website was going to do to help our business at the time, so this is another true story. I said, Raul, if you really want to build a website, you need to do that in your spare time. So Raul would stay up late at night and work on the website. Thankfully, he did. 1999, here's a familiar face. Look at that young buck. So 1999, Rob Davies had been playing in our soccer leagues, and he heard about a job opening with the Sport and Social Club. And guess what? He didn't hear about it through a website, because we didn't have that, or through emails, because we didn't do that yet. He heard about it because our event coordinators, I used to fax our event coordinators their announcements for the night, and they would have gone around and announced there's a job opening. That's how Rob found out about it and applied for the job. He came on as our junior associate, and today he's a part owner of the company with myself and Raul. And we've been working together, the three of us now, for 20 years. We just celebrated Rob's 20th anniversary. That's what that photo is. So fast forward to 2016, and our amazing team has now become organizational experts, literally getting thousands of people off the couch on a daily basis and playing. Around this time, I was seeking some inspiration. It had been 20 years for me in 2016 of running the leagues, and I was a bit bored, and I realized I needed to find something to inspire me again. So I was thinking about what is it that makes me happiest, and I realized that what makes me the happiest is when I'm driving down the street, and my kids will tell you this, if we're in the car and I see a flag football game or an ultimate game or softball, and I can say, oh look, there's Sport and Social Club, there's Sport and Social Club. It makes me so happy. To this day, it just makes me smile. When I pop in here every so often, if my kids are out playing ultimate, I'll pop in here and see one of our tournaments going on. It just makes me happy to see that we're getting people playing. So that's when it hit me. If we were getting 75,000 annual participants active, wouldn't it be incredible if we could touch the lives of 1 million people every year? Thus, that became the legacy that I wanted to create, get 1 million people playing. I truly believe that for every one person we get playing, there's a powerful ripple effect in our society. These members of ours, after they play their games, they go home happier and healthier. They end up being better roommates, better boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses. They go to work the next day feeling happier, so they're more productive and fun colleagues to be around because they're happier within themselves. They're physically better off, they're mentally better off, having had physical activity and human connection because of what all of us are doing. So in 2016, when I decided that I really wanted to get 1 million people playing, I shared this graph with some of my teammates. Some of them are here tonight and will remember the meeting we had where I shared this graph. This is a graph that shows the growth in terms of the number of teams we'd had playing over the 20 years since I started the club in 1996. Pretty nice, slow, steady growth. I also showed them the growth curve of this other little company called Starbucks. You might have heard of them. As you can see from Starbucks' growth curve, their first 20 years was flat. But 20 years in, they decided to scale, and look what happened. They took off like a rocket. And I felt incredibly inspired by that, because I felt, hey, if Starbucks can do it, why can't we? We can grow like that. And so I shared that with my team, hoping that they'd all get behind the vision, again, to get 1 million people playing. So in 2016, I spent time imagining and envisioning, what does the future need to look like? What does the next 3 years need to look like in order to build towards getting 1 million people playing? It's going to take us a long time to get 1 million people playing. Who's kidding who? At the time, we had 75,000 annual participants, so it's going to take a while. But I wanted to map out what does the next 3 years need to look like as a building block. So I came up with a vision video, and our team has been watching this vision video 3 to 6 times a year. They're probably all getting a bit bored of it. They watch this same vision video multiple times a year because it helps us focus, all of us, sort of all being in the boat, rowing in the same direction. We're all going the same way with this map of the vision. And while we didn't hit all the goals for the vision of 2019, we actually have seen a ton of positive change. 3 years later, we now have leagues operating in about 10 or 11 different markets, including Toronto, Mississauga, York Region, Hamilton, Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge, Brantford, and Sudbury, all in Ontario, as well as in Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, and Muskegon in Michigan. Our full-time team was about 15 people in 2016. We're now triple that, around 45 full-time team, and our part-time team has grown to being about 250 across all of our regions. So we've seen some pretty incredible growth. We now have over 130,000 participants playing annually. So while we still have a long way to go to get to 1 million, we've almost doubled since 2016. And the growth curve is going in the right direction. Slow and steady for the first 20 years, but a really fantastic spike in the last 3 with a lot more room to go. As we chase this vision to get 1 million people playing, I want you to know, each and every one of you, if I haven't had a chance to talk to you tonight, I want you to know that I am incredibly proud to call every one of you my teammate as we chase this vision as a team to get there. And while the goal of chasing that large number of 1 million people playing is captivating, the one number that truly matters is 1. I'm going to tell you why. 1 game, 1 member, 1 sport and social club part-time staff member engaging with our members, 1 experience at a time. We need to focus on what matters most, and that is the experience of our members. It's really important to remember that each one of our members is playing for a different reason. This is an email that shows you something we got from a member saying, "Thanks for all you and your organization do to make these leagues awesome. I've been playing for 6 years now, and it's the highlight of my week to play with my team." A lot of people are feeling this way, and I wanted to share a few stories of some of really special stories from different members over the years. First, I'm going to tell you about Colin McDougall. Colin was playing volleyball with us in the late 90s. It was 97 or 98. He was captain of a volleyball team, and one evening while he and his teammates were waiting to start their game, Colin went over and started chatting to Martha, the captain of the opposing team. And during their chat, the two of them made a plan to meet up with their teams at the sponsor bar after their games. Suffice to say, they got to know each other better at the bar and had a good evening. Fast forward a year, and I got an email from Colin that said, "Hey, Kristi, if you ever need a testimonial for your business, here's mine. Thanks to the Sport and Social Club, I don't sleep alone anymore." Yeah, that happened. Suffice to say, Colin and Martha are now happily married with 3 active teenagers, and we have hundreds of other stories just like theirs. I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds of babies, if not thousands, thanks to the Sport and Social Club. This is another really special story from Mary, who plays in our Grand Rapids, Michigan League. Mary found out about our leagues through a friend, and when she did, she immediately signed up to start playing volleyball, kickball, ultimate frisbee, and basketball. She loves being active. However, she's also battling multiple sclerosis, so she's not always able to physically play her games. And yet she recently got our logo tattooed on her body. That's what she's showing you her shoulder with our logo on her shoulder. Why? Why would she get our logo tattooed? Because our leagues have been life-changing for her. You see, when Mary's MS flares up and she needs to use a cane or be in a wheelchair, although she's unable to physically play her games, she still gets out to her games to cheer on her teammates from the sidelines, and then she can go back to the bar and socialize and have real-life human connection with friends afterwards. For Mary, her adult sports league experiences have been life-changing. This is what we are all doing. This is what we are all creating together, these experiences. The last story I want to share, those stories, I mean, I love all of these stories, and they're super special, but there was one day I'm never going to forget. A few years ago, one of our customer service team, Catherine Force, actually Catherine, who Ace bumped into in Thailand, because Ace was wearing the shirt, and Catherine hasn't worked for us for a couple of years, but she recognized the shirt. They bumped into each other in Thailand. Anyway, Catherine forwarded me an email, and the email, I'll just never forget it. So here's the story. Like me, Emily had moved to Toronto shortly after university, and she didn't really know anyone in the big city. She was struggling with loneliness, she was feeling depressed, and she was suffering through a pretty dark time. Thankfully, she heard about our organization from a coworker, and she was hesitant to join because she hadn't been much of an athlete growing up. She wasn't a super sporty kid, a bit nervous, but she decided she really had nothing to lose based on how she was feeling. After playing in our leagues for a year or so, she sent us an email thanking us, and her last line was, "Your leagues literally saved my life." It still gives me chills anyway. So we have thousands and thousands of people who play with us, and each of you make a little extra effort. When each one of you are out at the games and you make that little extra effort to be outgoing and friendly, to share some rules or knowledge about the sport, to put your own phone away, out of sight, so that you can focus and truly engage, laugh, and connect with our members, when each of you do that, it's making an incredibly positive impact on people's lives. You're truly helping to make the Sport and Social Club the best part of their day. And when our members have positive experiences like this, thanks to the extra care and attention that you're providing, they're going to go home happier, healthier, they're going to be spreading the word and telling all their friends and coworkers about our services, and they're going to encourage more people to play, and they'll be signing back up themselves to keep playing for another season. I just want you to imagine, let's do the math. My team knows I love math. Let's do the math on this. Imagine if every time our part-time staff, every time one of you have a shift, if you make a point of connecting with 3 people, 1 person an hour, if you have a conversation and you engage in a really friendly way with 3 different people, times 10 weeks season, that's 30 people, times 4 seasons a year, it's 120, times 250 part-time staff, that's 30,000 positive human interactions that we can make, that will make a difference in someone's life. As the CEO of this organization, I'm constantly asking people if they've heard of the Sport and Social Club. The other day, I was at the hairdresser's, and the woman had just moved from Sweden. And I said, "Have you heard of the Sport and Social Club?" "No." "Oh, you should hear about the Sport and Social Club. What is it?" So I start to tell her. I pull out my phone. Before I left, she signed up for beach volleyball. Not kidding. This is how I roll. I think what we're doing is good. It's good for people. So I tell everybody. And when I see someone playing sports in another league, like a friend of mine's son who was recently playing soccer with a competitor, it makes me wonder, why would they choose that league? So I ask them, and I want to learn more. And I want to learn how can we be the best. And I want to encourage them to give us a try, because I actually believe truly that thanks to each and every one of you, we have the best service in our industry. Hands down. We have the friendliest, most outgoing team of part-time and full-time event staff in this industry. And I just want to encourage each of us to be thinking about, what does it mean when we observe our members playing at a facility that's less than ideal, or playing with less than quality equipment, or if we observe or overhear a member complaining about some aspect of our service or their experience at the games, what does that mean when we hear that a member doesn't intend to return for another season? These are serious questions, and I really believe strongly that these provide each and every one of us with an incredible opportunity to take accountability and responsibility for these situations that we observe. And we want all of you feeling empowered to take action and find a way to ensure that our members keep playing. Let's be the best part of their day. So tonight, as we look forward, 2019 is coming to an end, and it's time for me to launch the vision for 2022, our next 3 years. So this is the brand new, yet to be seen by anyone except Rob, who I had to have proof, make sure I didn't make a bunch of drastic mistakes. The vision video that lays out where we want to get to and how we're going to get there over the next 3 years. And this actually is an awesome infographic, thanks to Manushi on our team, our awesome graphic designer. This has been made into a mouse pad that each of you will be getting in your swag bags on your way out. And I hope you'll use this and keep it top of mind on a daily basis. Remind yourself that we're trying to get 1 million people playing, and what we're doing is making a really positive impact. I wanted to just share a few other things. I wanted you to know that I ask myself each and every day, what can I do to win the loyalty of our members, to get another person off the couch, being active, playing, connecting, and having fun. Rob, myself, and Chris Wesley, Chris is our partner in Michigan, as owners of this organization, we are here to serve you. Think of us, I like to think of us as the trunk of the tree, the roots. We're here to serve and support our members and make their experiences playing with the Sport and Social Club incredible. And with our full-time team, I think of them as sort of the trunk reaching out. They're supporting each of our part-time team. I think of our part-time team as the leaves. They sometimes change color with the seasons. And our members sometimes fall off. We'd rather they didn't fall off. We'd love you guys to stick around as long as you can. And our members are the blossoms, the flowers, who are nourished and prospering and happy because of the support and service that we're all providing. My expectation of each of you is incredibly high. My full-time team will tell you that. I have very high expectations. I'm tough. However, I want you each to know my expectations of myself are higher. I commit to working hard each and every day to ensure that we and all of our team have the tools and feel empowered to provide the best possible service to our members. If we're really going to transform the Sport and Social Group and grow to get 1 million people playing, we need each one of you, all of our part-time and full-time teammates, to take their jobs and these opportunities as personally and as seriously as I do. Our society is dealing with some serious crises right now. Obesity rates are skyrocketing, and loneliness, which in and of itself creates massive mental and physical health problems, has become an epidemic. While we all know that working out and playing sports, like going to the gym, benefits your physical health, scientific studies have now proven, Mayo Clinic studies, like high-level studies, have proven playing team sports is actually better for you than just going to the gym. It gives you a higher rate of living longer, higher odds of living longer, because it involves play. That word play, play is better for your physical and mental health in the long run. The human connection has gone on the decline thanks to these little devices we all keep in our back pockets. Everyone's socially connected, but human connection is lacking, and we are providing that. So both of these are massive problems, obesity and loneliness, and what we are providing is helping with both of those. We're making a difference. So tonight, I want to encourage all of you, our part-time and our full-time team alike, to remember what an impact each of you is making and can make on our members' experience, one experience at a time. We are getting people off the couch, we're getting them active, we're providing a community for them to have human connection. All of the work that each of us is doing is touching people's lives in an incredibly positive way. We are each making a difference. So who is with me? Who here believes that the services we're providing is making an impact? Okay. And who here believes that the face-to-face connection that each of you have with our members is an opportunity to make an impact? Does anyone believe that? Yes. And who here wants wants to be part of the legacy that we're chasing to get 1 million people playing? All right. Awesome. I'm very happy to hear that. And honestly, the best part about our culture is our team itself. That's what makes our culture as magical and as fun as it is. So speaking of our team, let's go have some fun. It's party time. Thank you to all of you.